Just keep in mind that this is being recorded. So if you don't want your face to be seen, or if you want to not to be heard in the recording, please feel free to keep your video off and yourself muted. But generally speaking, we are very happy to see your faces around. Just to give you an overview of what we're going to be doing today, I will start. My name is Fosmopoulos. I will introduce myself in a bit. I will do the introduction about the group itself, what we're trying to do, what we have been doing, and stuff like that. Then we are going to be presenting a particular activity that we are doing, quotation mark or question mark, I don't know how you see that. And then we are going to ask for your feedback on activities that we could potentially pick up, which will also give us the opportunity to give you the floor and sort of give some a short presentation of yourself, which means saying hi, basically. What are your interests or your relevance to RDA or both? And ideally, if you find this group interesting, what would you expect or what you'd like from this group? And that would be it. Before, oops, there we go. Just some housekeeping. Unless you have the floor, please ideally mute yourself because we're also recording. And again, if you have video on or if you unmute yourself, it's going to be kept on the video. If you want to ask any questions, raise hands, put on the chat window, or alternatively, and let me do this again, if I find the chat window, where is it? There's a chat window. This is the minute document, so feel free to sign in or provide feedback directly there. There is a hashtag for the RDA plenary. Feel free to use it if you want to tweet about stuff, whatever stuff. And apparently, yeah, we try to keep it as informal as possible, as relaxing as possible. So basically, feel free to chat at any time. Continuing on, and before I go to the objectives, I want to highlight one more thing, that this group is under the RDA Code of Conduct. The link is there. The slides are also linked on the minutes document. If you scroll to page, some page, I think page 2, I don't have it open in front of me, you will find the links to the slides, to the agenda, to pretty much everything related to the group. And you can find there also the link to the Code of Conduct. Essentially what it says is, be nice, play nice, don't make other people uncomfortable, use positive inclusive language, and if any of the people in the group make you uncomfortable, please do feel free to reach out anonymously or directly to any of the three of us, the chairs. If one of us actually creates a problem, please feel free to reach out directly to the oversight group of the Code of Conduct, and the link is directly in the Code of Conduct of RDA. And that's it for the introduction. That was a long video one. So let me go directly to the introduction about the group. I see we have some more people joining, so welcome again, everyone. As I said, this is being recorded, so please feel free to keep your video off or to keep your audio off, or both, unless you are fine with being captured on video. So this is the Early Career and Engagement Interest Group, which is a mouthful, but essentially what it means is that it's being designed as a group that caters to the needs of early career researchers and professionals. This has been defined as, of course, an RDA interest group, but its main purpose has always been to use it as part of the intersection between RDA as a community and the wider world. In other words, see it both as an entry point and also as a way to talk about what RDA is, how it works, what people can do, get basically a place to network, if you like. So the purpose in at 2 points is, as listed here, first of all, to find similarly minded people. And the early career is not necessarily time related. It's how you self-identify. So you can be early career and being near retirement, or you can be an early career and just finishing grad school or still studying. Doesn't matter. It's how you feel. And other than actually getting this networking and sort of support from within the community, it's actually to have people who are more senior within RDA and provide feedback, provide guidance and mentoring to all the members of this group. And we'll have a longer, hopefully, discussion about how this works or how we see this working later today. So if you look at the actual charter of the interest group, we have 5 distinct objectives. These are listed here. The ones that are highlighted, I'm going to spend a bit more of a time to discuss about them because it's more practical of how we design them. So the objective one is sort of self-evident. The focus is on medical area researchers, right? Yeah, duh. The second one is essentially how to get this kind of support. And in the charter, we promised that we will establish a volunteer-based mentoring program. Eiley will be talking about this a bit more later. And it is one of the things that we feel it kind of works decently good. The third point is about networking. And the interesting thing is because RDA is so extensive and occasionally it's a bit too much, if I may put it that way, too complex or too large, or I know it appears so. It has a great advantage. It addresses, it covers, it attracts people from many different domains, many different disciplines, many different levels, even within the same discipline, occasionally having completely different perspectives. So because of that, it is an excellent place that you can actually exchange ideas and pick up new things that you can apply then in your own particular work. And we see this happening many times, especially if we start looking at aspects like open science, like data management, data stewardship. All of those things have been raised in the past in different discussions that we have in this group, and exchanging how best practices work, or even just presenting, this is what I'm doing. It might be very simple for a person who is an expert in the field, but to someone else who is just entering or is from a completely different background, it's really something really productive and useful to get aware of. So in any way, interdisciplinarity is one of the key points. The fourth one is sort of the structure to exchange this kind of information, lessons, best practices, approaches, and so forth. This structure was one of the first things that we attempted to create. It's still in place and technically kind of, again, works. But the main idea is that it's always as a live document. People can add more stuff, we can review what other people have been doing, you can track this live sort of discussion and so forth. Again, not only within the same community, but having people from outside as well. And the last one, it's something that is very specific to plenary sessions, the physical ones at least, the virtual one, we haven't yet found how to do that, is to have a social outlet. In every plenary, we always had a dedicated social thingy, mostly going out for drinks, to be honest, outside the sessions of the plenary, to relax and have a more easy environment to exchange ideas from pretty much anything. This, of course, in a virtual format doesn't work, or at least doesn't work as intended. But I'm hoping that the next plenary, South Korea, if I remember correctly, it might be one of the things that we can pick up again. So I'll start from the, so these are the two things that I want to highlight, 2 and 4. So I'll start with the 4 first. And with the 4, it's the structure. So in terms of structure, we had 2 main channels of communication. The first one is GitHub. We create a repository where we have been capturing basically anything that has been discussed so far, from the different minutes of the plenary sessions, to feedback that we're getting, to the mentoring calls that we will be seeing, the AMA calls, asking anything calls that you'll see shortly, to documents that can map up, presentations, pretty much anything that we've captured, it's in there. This is persistent. And it also has the extra advantage of if someone contributes something there, you can always see who contributed, to what extent, and what they actually contributed to. So you can always acknowledge people for their efforts there. The second one is more of an asynchronous thing, or rather a more direct thing. It's a Slack group. Again, it's been around for, I think, 3 years now, roughly. And the main idea is to have general discussions, update for events, exchange information, and also create domain or issue specific channels so that people can exchange ideas, ask questions, and really interact with each other. As you can possibly imagine, this Slack group is always coming a bit more live during the actual plenaries because people realize that RDA exists. We have the session, we discuss things, so people start to interact, and then it fizzles out, and then the circle comes anew, which, okay, to be expected, but it's there. That's the important part. The social event, right? The only thing I might show is later on a few pictures so that you can see that it actually happened. It's not something that I put out of my mind. It's one of the more attractive things of the group, if I may say it that way. So circling back so that I can do a good segue into what Ella will be describing in a bit. What are the goals? So these are the objectives, as I said, but the goals is basically more long-term. As an interest group, it's not time limited. I think it's been around since 2015 or 2016 or something like that. So it's been around for quite some time. And we are trying to have a presence in every plenary since then. What we want and what our goals are is to always make sure that we find the best ways to interact and to engage with ECRs. In whatever context, in whatever form, even through virtual, hybrid, face-to-face, different mechanisms, different approaches. The same thing is to connect also with the different communities and domains within RDA. For those who've been in RDA for quite some time, you are hopefully aware that interest group and working groups always come up and sort of close up on a yearly basis. So making sure that all those things are captured and we are aware of what is happening and we can interact with them is one of our long-term goals. To that end, it's not only enough to have these goals and to have these great expectations, but it's also important to capture these down and document them and know exactly what we are aiming for. And for this reason, one of the main objectives or goals of a career is to develop and document these best practices, how to communicate the best way and to ensure that we get the feedback. And finally, again, to see how we can support this early career fellowship program. So this is a bit of, I would not say obsolete, but it's a program that was active up until 2019, I would like to say. It was both an EU-based program as well as an US-based program. So there are different fellowships from these directions. But unfortunately, also due to the circumstances, but also due to administrative issues, they have been frozen or ended for the time being. And I'm really hoping that this will start again from here onwards, because it was a great mechanism to actually get new people on board RDA. But one of the things that we also had in mind is how to actually connect those fellowship programs, both and provide freedom to them, but also to get people on board from that direction. All right, I think I've talked too long already. So with that, I will stop talking and I will pass on the floor to dearest Ellie, who is the other co-chair of the group, which I just realized we haven't introduced ourselves. Right, so hi, my name is Falsopoulos. I am a researcher in Super Applied Bioscience at the Solid Greece. I'm a physician, and I'm one of the co-chairs of this group. And Ellie, who I'm now passing the floor on to, is one of the other co-chairs, and I will now shut up and give the floor to Ellie. Bye-bye. I can move the slides if you like.
I guess because, okay, yeah, perfect, thank you. But, I don't mind, I can share my screen also, no worries. Yeah, I think because we know each other so well and we have been collaborating for so long, we assume that everyone knows who we are and what we're doing. So hi everyone, I'm Ellie Papadopoulou. I work for Athena Research Center in Greece and I'm involved in the open science sphere. So I'm managing a product that is for data management plans. I'm also involved in some national activities that aim to align the policies and the technical infrastructures with open and fair principles and so on. So very, very, very interesting stuff that we are doing also at the European level and at the national level. Maybe Maria can say a few things before I move on to the mentoring program, since we stopped to do the introductions.
Yes, of course. Hi, everyone. I'm Maria Tsagiopouliou. I'm from Greece, but now I have a position, a postdoc position here in Barcelona at CNAG CRG. I'm working with biological big data. That means with next generation sequencing data that can sequence human genome, for example. And nowadays I'm very focused on single cell analysis. This is a very hot topic on bioinformatics, let's say. Also, I'm very, very focused in reusability of the publicly available data. I really like this idea of having all this kind of data available through internet and through domains databases, and take the advantage of this data in order to have new hypotheses, to organize it better, to have better repositories, and so on. That's for me.
All right, and with that, I will continue to the presentation, and then moving on to the mentoring program, which we have set up a couple of years ago. I think it was 2017. So we realized that we needed to. There are several people with different roles within RDA. Some have a knowledge on a specific area, a specific domain, or a particular part within the research data management, steps and activities. Others are involved in research data management activities, but would also like to know a few things about other steps, other activities, or would like to feel more comfortable when they, when they are discussing with other colleagues in the research data forum like RDA and so on. So we understood that we have some people that could become mentors in our program, and some people that could be the mentees, meaning those people that would like to get some support on different aspects in their everyday career, in their everyday work, actually. And we drafted this mentoring program. So these are the guidelines that you see here for the mentors. So the people that would like, it's not mandatory that all these guidelines are met by mentors, but these are the options that we provide. Oops, these are, oops, for this, thank you. But these are the options that we provide with mentors. So very, very basic, nothing is mandatory, just this is a checklist for you to look. Attend the early career and engagement sessions at RDA plenaries if you are planning, or if you have submitted an application to expression of interest to be part of the RDA plenary. Join the discussions through the different networks that we have. For this mentioned that we have a Slack group. We also have the different emailing lists, and also the Twitter, and we can share the handle afterwards. Present your work during AMAs and identify areas where the early career researchers could contribute, and this has been very successful. We unfortunately had to stop and pause during the pandemic because we realized that everyone is online, and everyone is feeling very already tired of being online. So we are now discussing how we could have a different approach to these AMAs, and also how we could to make them feel more, to make people feel more interested in participating in them, and how we could also continue them. What are the topics that we would like to tackle? Then for the mentors, another thing is when there is a question, we usually share it via the Slack or the mailing list or via direct emails. So just when we share those emails with questions that are coming from the early careers, let's say the guideline is that please reply as promptly as possible, and be open to have meetings, mainly virtual nowadays, with the early career engagement members, following up on discussions. There have been some in the past, some cases where the early career member and the mentor were joining the same session on a different conference, so that there was this nice connection that we managed to establish through this group, and they could, pick up on what was their requests on a different forum. Then for mentees, the same things apply. They can, if they want, they can attend the early career engagement sessions similar to the one that we're having today. They can participate in the AMAs, the Ask Me Anything calls that we are having monthly. We are reestablishing them in the coming year. And then they can have questions, and they can have answers from different people, not only mentors, but also the other early careers that might be connected to our sessions. They can join discussions through the Slack and all the different networks and the channel that we are having. Yes, this is a suggestion that when the early career asks a question to a mentor, please be as specific as possible, so that we can identify who would be the right mentor to that could provide an answer to you. Promote your work, of course, and your interests at any time, not only during the plenaries, which we are about to do afterwards, but also via email and via other online, Slack and all the other groups that we're having. And be an active member of the early career engagement interest group. So this is just a checklist, doesn't mean that you have to check all of them. This is the Mentors Network. Here you can see we have a good representation from Europe and from the United States of America, where we would like to expand this. So if you feel that you can support those activities as a mentor, feel free. We are happy to add you in this network, and especially if you are coming from different continents, that's even better. That's a plus, because we have mentees from other, like from Africa or from Australia, that would really appreciate your support. Next is the Mentors Network, some examples. So here you can see this should be updated, but here you can see examples of people that are participating as mentors in our network. You see that they have different roles, they come from different institutions, they have different backgrounds, like from publishers to service providers to research institutions and universities. I could go one further. And about the Ask Me Anything or AMA calls, in short, we are, as I mentioned, these were very successful. They stopped during Corona, but we are reestablishing them in 2022. And we would like your contribution also for the different topics that we could address. If you want to know, learn something specific about something that you have heard or that you're doing in your job, let us know. We're happy to find someone, a speaker, and organize this for you. They follow a predefined workflow. Yes, I think I already said what I want to say about the AMAs. They usually run on the third Thursday of every month. So you will be receiving our emails through the mailing list of RDA when we start. But you can mark them on your calendar if you want already. And yes, I think I already asked this, but please feel free to share any ideas for the different topics that we could tackle. And here you can see that I think it was either the first one or the second AMA. We were still very young and few people there, and then our network grew, and we were. You can see how we were having discussions. Yeah, we are people from. You can see we are people from Europe, from the US, working in data management. I see Marta Teperek there. Our co-chair also, who is not today with us. Devon from the US and other very good colleagues. You can find out more about what we have been doing with the AMAs, what are the topics that we addressed, and who were the speakers, what were the different discussions, what were the questions and the discussions that followed those AMAs in the GitHub, in this link that you see here. But so far, just to recap, we have been discussing about text and data mining, open research software, different machine learning models, training programs like the CoData and the RDA, focusing on data management and data planning, reproducible research, and archiving for software. So now I will head of like Maria, you can
okay, we create some where is the screen?
Sorry, my bad again. There's the screen.
Okay. We create some polls on Menti in order to have your feedback on the previous described topics and have a very general discussion about that. But I don't know if you want to go through this, or the people are comfortable to unmute themselves and have a discussion all together, because we are 3 versus 3. I think it can be more personal. But if you are not comfortable to do that, we can go through Menti and you can use this code and give a feedback about the predefined topics, and then we can have a discussion all together.
Let me see if I can go to
feel free if you want to unmute yourself. It will be great to have a discussion.
It says that I cannot enter the Menti.
Really?
Can you share the code again?
No, of course. Maybe it was my mistake. One number is missing.
No.
That makes more sense. There we go.
Maybe I have to do that to share my screen.
Okay, I will stop sharing then.
Okay.
Okay, I can definitely see your screen and no one is providing feedback, so I might try to put this note there. Aha, 2 topics.
Fotis, did you add anything here?
Yeah, the pink one. So the idea here is basically try to figure out what might be relevant topics for EC data opportunities. Aha, that's interesting. What
Oh,
is
this is
EC data opportunities?
I think this is for a new topic, and it's a nice one.
Yeah, it is. But I'm wondering
Yeah.
what the EC data opportunities actually stands for.
If you are early career and you're working on data, I can imagine something like that.
Magdalena says that she's trying to write in Menti. Please unmute. Please unmute.
Yeah.
People.
But also you can write it to chat.
Sure.
That's interesting. I've just tried, to be honest, with this code. It should work, but let me also try to see if I can provide different link to the same thing. All right, I'm pasting the Menti. You can try this one. It should lead directly to the correct Menti together with the actual code embedded. So it might help. But cool, thanks. But still, I'm curious. What does
Someone
EC
unmute himself. Hello, James.
Hi everyone.
Oh, hi, James.
Sorry, the first little bit of this, I had quite a bad connection, but yeah, I don't have any feedback per se. I'm just here to absorb everything, get exposure to what's going on out there. Yeah, I'm very much early career. I work in Cape Town, South Africa as a data curator for the South African Environmental Observation Network. And yeah, for the past 2 years, I've been involved in developing a data repository for the Department of Environmental Affairs. My background's in oceanography. So basically just stakeholder engagement, tidying up data and getting it in to our catalog. So yeah, I'm open to learning as much as possible and being involved where I can.
Great. Then I think you mentioned that you're working for repositories. So I think that you find very useful the core trust seal, the WDS and core trust seal collaboration. Let me see, where is this interest group, where you can find where you can find the best practices that are out there for open and fair data, and you can follow them to feel, you know, that I cannot talk and write. Probably I cannot do both for some reason.
But I really liked the self-presentation from James, because it captures a lot of fields that I have basically zero knowledge about, which is very cool. So which also Right. Okay. There's another comment from Helena, but I'll go one by one. So what I was wondering is that based on this description and the fact that you're looking in different parts, cool, new topics coming in. I was wondering, what would you expect? What would be your expectations, or what you would like to see in an early career engagement interest group? As Ellie said and Maria mentioned already, the main purpose here is to provide support, and support changes over time because needs change over time. So I'm honestly curious as to ideally what would be your best case scenario here.
I think promoting best practices and what everyone is doing in Europe, and leading the field in, I don't know, it's obviously so many different fields out there, and sometimes loads have different community standards and things, but where I have been, it's kind of starting my own research and building my way up, and then realizing, oh, that's already out there and established. So knowing where to look for these things and where they are documented is always a bonus. And then personally, I am kind of self-taught Python, so any kind of data analysis tools and learning any kind of programming is a big plus.
All right. So let me see if I can decompose this a bit more. Sorry, I tend to overthink things, so please stop me at any time when I go in my own tangential. So in terms of figuring out what other people are doing, especially if you're looking for data repository, data management, and that, I would really point you to Ellie, like my first reaction. My second reaction would be, now RDA, I think the plenaries have implemented a system where they have these kind of tracks or themes or something like that. And these themes also encapsulate aspects about data management, data stewardship. I think I remember seeing those, so one way or another. So my first action to get some broad feedback would be to get to interact with those sessions. And full disclosure, I'm painfully aware that a plenary session, especially if the first one that one attends, is chaotic. Too many things, too many sessions, especially parallel ones. I think we'll have like 7 parallel sessions at this point. And it's impossible to attend all of them at the same time. Even if we could, it's kind of schizophrenic. So let's go not that direction. So just doubling into the different sessions that seem marginally interesting is definitely a good starting point. And the only thing that I can definitely vouch for is that the vast majority, if not all, of the RDA chairs and groups are very, very open to more people getting involved, even if that involvement is, can you please let me know where I can find best practices for topic X, given that this is relevant for your group? People are generally thrilled about that. And I see that Ellie has been putting stuff on the chat about data management. So yeah, there we go. So one connection done. For programming, and I will stop blabbing, this is also quite an interesting point. I'm very curious as to how this can be applied. What I mean is that aside from pointing people in the direction of, look, this is, for example, the carpentry stuff that you can find lessons and you go through them on your own time and pace. In the context of the early career, what could be done would be sort of a workshop style thing that we can self-organize in that sense. But this would be very specific to one programming language or one type, which would be a bit limiting. So again, going back to your question, what if you're talking about engagement around programming and best practice for programming? What would be the case here?
It's tricky because mine is fairly specific, and I'm not sure if there are many people out there. For example, what I've been looking into recently is converting text and CSV files that should be multi-dimensional data into NetCDF format. So that's fairly specific, and I've been kind of developing my own code on that. So things like that, but any exposure to multi-dimensional data or tidy data tools. Yeah, I don't have an endpoint or a specific goal in mind at the moment. I'm just looking for exposure.
Cool. I know only the CSV part of what you just said and the multi-dimensional thing. So yeah, again, ignorance at its best. But I would ask, are you familiar with the Carpentries?
Sorry?
Are you familiar with the Carpentries?
No, I'm not.
Aha. So what I would recommend, so this is another organization, not RDA, of course, but as I said, the good thing with the early careers is that we kind of work in the edge of RDA and joining other communities as well. And the Carpentries is one of those communities. And the interesting is that they provide a lot of practical training for programming. And there are different types of Carpentries. Basically, they are the data carpentry, the software carpentry, all under the same umbrella. And they do provide this kind of a context. I just pasted one of those things there. I'm also, the software carpentry, also pasting this one. And I know that the South African community is a bit strong. They have a community in South Africa around the Carpentries. And I know that Anelda, I have the last name, and they organize a lot of events there. So one suggestion would be to connect with those and see if you can find support there. I'm also pasting the link to the instructors list, and you can sort them also by country, and you can find I found her, Anelda van der Walt. That's the name. So it might be useful to connect to those people because, again, from my experience with the Carpentries community, they're always very open and want to include as many people as possible. And because, again, South Africa is a bit active there, it might be more, it might be a good point. I feel I've been sort of monopolizing the discussion, and I know also Helen put a comment in which I ignored.
Can I add something here on
yes,
about
please.
James? Yeah, that was something like my story of my life. I was alone and I tried to do my own stuff back in Greece before meeting Fotis, of course. And I tried to figure out how to code, how to perform my own analysis, how I can upload the data files into something in order to analyze them. And of course, as Fotis mentioned, there are plenty of resources available through big actions like Carpentries, let's say, that you can find some things that you can adopt and create your own stuff. Definitely, if your field is very specific on some point, it's not very easy to find something very ready and adopt it, and that's all. Maybe you have to be more comfortable with coding and then apply your own things, but that's cool. It's science and it's something new in whatever direction. And I think you have to go through these Carpentries things and check what it's okay with your research and adopt some things. And I think when you start to understand how you can search things, you can adopt very easily and you can go further on your topic. Because as I understand, because I didn't understand anything as Fotis, I took only the CSV and the multi-dimensional thing. I think you can very easily find the way to do your own stuff. but you can start from something very, very big, like Carpentries or something similar. And yes, you can do a lot of things, I think. If your field is very unique, I think you can go directly to programming and then apply more stuff there.
That's great, thank you.
All right, so going back to Helena's point, so I see that I added a topic, but I'm not sure whether you want me to comment to previous topics.
Yeah.
So
Well, I can
any
just
feedback?
I can comment on my comment. So this is the first time I attend a session with this group. I'm co-chair of the linguistics data interest group, and I just to provide a little bit of background. So I work as head of teaching at the University Library in Tromsø, at university here in Norway, and I'm very much engaged both with all the data management services that we are providing here in Tromsø, and in particular towards PhD candidates and in different areas. And I'm also engaged in an EU project that is focusing on what is the term in English? Transferable skills. So we have developed this RDM course that will be launched next year, I think, on the PhD Hub platform. So, and I see that here in, well, when I'm working together with the PhD students, I see that, you know, a lot of the PhD supervisors are not that into RDM. This is a known issue, and also that many of the PhD students, I mean, we're quite a small university, so a lot of the PhD students who are interested in developing their skills within RDM, they aren't part of, well, they're quite alone, you know, because they have their scientific niche and not very many to talk with. So the reason as for why I signed up for this session was to learn more about the group, because I would very much find out how I could help PhD students become more engaged with RDM without, how can I say it, well, help them become engaged and help them get the help that they need. And I don't know, I'm still trying to figure out the how can I say it, the way you're working with it within this interest group. I very much like the idea connecting RDA with the world outside and with the different communities. Yeah, I don't have any how can I say concrete specific suggestions yet. I just wanted to listen to you, but I would very much like to well, be part of the discussion, yeah, onwards. So I just need to figure out what you're doing.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So I just put, yeah. So I just put, because the topic that I put on this screen was the evaluation of repositories, because we have this session this morning with PhD students, and they were discussing how do I proceed when I supposed to find a repository for my data? What would be the strategic choice? How to navigate in the repository landscape? And so there are some questions that are quite recurrent across disciplines from PhD candidates. And I think that it would be kind of interesting to have these discussions with participants in this interest group, where PhD students could actually meet and discuss these topics, because I think there are topics that could be discussed with a broader group than I mean, for those who are interested in it. Yeah.
I see two things. So one is what you are mentioning, that you can feel free to share the invitation that about the AMAs that we will be organizing. Feel free to share them via your university channels, communication channels, and invite people to join. Of course, this is a good way to for them to learn about RDA and about the different groups that they can get involved. But also for you to understand their needs through this discussion that will come up. And the second one for you specifically, that you have to support all this and all this effort, is so I will redirect you to another group, which I'm also co-chairing. It's called Engaging Researchers with Research Data, and I added a link somewhere in the chat. You will, if you scroll, you will find it for sure. And there you will meet other librarians, data curators, people that support research data management from within their organization, and you will find great examples of how they have also tackled all these issues that you're experiencing. And I've also added some use cases, some good examples that we managed to collect 2 years ago. We wrote a book about it. You can find it here. Let me also maybe paste them again. And feel free to scroll, skim through this book and identify. You could identify things that could work for your library and for your organization and apply them. And can I ask something? Do you have a data champion network within the university, or have you thought of doing something like that?
What do you mean by data champion network?
Meaning, so you mentioned that you have these people, these students, that some of them are engaged, some of them do not understand why, and they don't like doing it.
Yeah.
But you could identify the very active and let them talk with each other, like with the rest.
Yeah.
So that's, they might inspire each other. Sometimes they feel competitive. People feel competitive. That's the competition, though. That's the one that we want. So yeah.
Yeah, we do have a very kind of a good cooperation with the doctoral association here at UIT, so that could be a way to go to reach the broader, through them also. Yeah.
Also, is there a policy for research data management and data management plans, or no?
Yeah. But I think it would be useful to because our university, talking about that, it's a kind of it's a small, but it's a very international university, and I think a lot of the PhD candidates would appreciate, discussing with people who are working on something similar. I mean, that being in a completely different university, just meeting, like having these webinars, these discussion forums online, where they could meet someone who, discuss with people who are really in the same situation regarding one of the RDM aspects, because I think that's and perhaps mentored by someone who's an expert in that field. I think that would be. I think that could be very good.
I think that Helen has very good experience on that and can propose very good new topics on this. I think we are happy to help if we can find a mentor that is related to this field that your university is working on, and try to connect these two areas. I think that is the plan of this group, to find ways to link the mentors with the audience. And if you have already some PhD students that are interested in very specific topics, I think we can try to organize something through the AMA's session that we try to do it from the beginning at the next year, let's say. I don't know, Fotis, if you agree on that.
I fully agree. And I was about to suggest something a bit more provocative to Helen, which would be essentially to propose to set up an AMA session, Ask Me Anything session around data management practices, which would be roughly 30 minutes, 40 at most. But based on that, to actually spin off a new activity within the group, which is essentially what would be the equivalent of a study group. So we can announce this through both the mailing list of the early career group, but also within the Slack, technically also within the full RDA, but it depends on how we want to pursue this, and have people joining in particular days in a week through Slack. We can always have that. And have start discussion of, look, this is how I do with my data, this is how I structure it, or this is how I try to put a data management plan in my data collection process, or this is what I need to do at some point, and see other people who are in a similar situation exchange ideas. My experience in data management from the life science perspective is that most people don't know where to start, and having a nudge in the direction of start at point A is always like half the battle. The rest people are sort of smart enough to move from there, but they usually don't know where to start. So that would be my suggestion as to how we can connect this post as an activity, and also to have people get something out of it, and not only to ask Helen to do a talk. Thoughts?
Okay, so what you're suggesting is to create a session online where the focus would be, because it would be knowing it should feel immediately relevant, otherwise people wouldn't sign up for it. So how could it be yeah, any suggestions on how
Let me do one thing. Right. So I'm looking at the. Oh, please go ahead. Sorry.
I just thinking out loud. You can also share us the fields that you are working on with your PhDs, and try to figure out if we can help on somehow on these fields, or we can find another Mendy or whatever. To be very specific, because I fully agree that PhD students, if the topic is not in their area, they are not going to attend. Okay. Yeah, but I think we are fully open to do new stuff. And if you want to suggest us specific topics that you are sure that it's very hot on your university, we are happy.
Yeah, I would be happy to give a session. That would be, that would be fun. I just need to think a little bit about, what's the how can I say, how to narrow it down to something that would be interesting enough for people to sign up for it.
Can I share my screen real fast, Maria? All right. I think this is it. Right. So I shared this already on the chat window. So this is one of the past AMAs we had in September 2019, 2 years ago. And the topic of that day was on data management and data planning. This was given by Karsten Hansen and Christine Steiger from DTL, from that's Technical for Life Sciences. The actual slides they use are also here, I think, if I check this correctly. Yes, there we are. So essentially, the reason I'm showing this is not because a similar talk was done in the past, but because it was shown in a very general context. Essentially, it was what is data management, what's data stewardship, what is fair data, what are the persistent identifiers, stuff like that, which is general enough. I mean, you can address those questions in being from life sciences to linguistics or to social sciences and, I don't know, engineering. All of those can address the same questions. So what I was thinking, again, to address specifically what you said as a challenge, would be to have an outline of what is explicitly the gap that you perceive in your institution. Because if you see this as a gap in your institution, odds are that it's somewhere else as well. No one has the unique challenges unless they are administrative wise, which is a completely different point. Scientific challenges tend to be common. So even if you define the scope to be narrow just to address the challenges that you encounter, it should still attract people to join. But the presentation of this is the challenge, this is how we propose we address it, is this the first part of this effort. And this is where my provocative suggestion was, not keep it only at that level, but actually encourage people to create groups afterwards, even if that might be one call every 2 weeks, or an asynchronous discussion over Slack, or anything else for that matter, over Twitter, I don't know. And sort of exchange ideas of how a particular task can be achieved in the respective domains. Again, I'm working here with the assumption that the challenge is quite common. And from your description, I can also say people from my own institution would be fine as well. So that would be my sort of suggestion on that. All right, so to move, so okay, 10 minutes to go. Damn, time flies. So what I would say as a sort of follow-up action, I think we have now your email in the minutes. Let me check. Right, so we can follow up with you and see if we can set up one of the upcoming AMAs on that topic and organize that. Of course, I'm not talking about November or December. This is too short. But from the new year onwards, that should be a working theory. All right. So I would like to also to offer Magdalena the opportunity to say something if they are interested.
Sorry, I'm not a speaker as much today because my family just came back from school and I just juggling between rooms.
Absolutely no worries about that.
I hear everything. So maybe just a few second about me. It was very interesting session for me, and the main reason why I wanted to join your session, it was my first time in your group as well, because I didn't find solution for my problems in other groups, because I attend so many groups, and I'm working as a leader of Open Science Competency Center at the Gdańsk University of Technology, and also I'm head of the Scientific and Technological Department at the library, and I provided a lot of trainings about research data management, about open science, open access. But for example, even today I had lectures with for PhD students, but my problem is that my students, my academic staff, they attend my trainings and I have very big numbers, but what they expected is only how to write a data management plan, because it's obligatory for grant proposals, and that's it. Even if I try to go deeper, the open science, and they just do what they must do. And you know that feeling, okay, my trainings, they are good. I'm talking about fair data and all kind aspect, but I can't see this engagement. They only do the minimum, what they have to, and that's it. That's it. If, for example, if their grant proposal is not succeed, they just forgot about sharing data. Okay, if they if they got the grant and they have funding, they must to share data in the open way. We have data repository as well. That's okay. They're coming back to me, and we have another trainings, and they are a little bit more engagement. We tried everything, data champions and trainings. It's even a part of the PhD subject I teach, but it's just I have that impression that it's like a minimum, and only what and they only do what is necessary. I know that it was the same with open access at the beginning, and then it takes 10 years if they now, because of the Plan S, they are not friendly of open access again. It's a little bit confusing with all that requirements for academic staff. But I just thinking if we still need another 10 years to engage them more, it's just, for me, it's just sometimes it's impossible barrier to jump and achieve my my stuff.
Yes, that's a difficult part.
Any solution for me?
Cultural change takes time.
Yeah,
but I think that it's good. First of all, it's good that they're coming. And thank you for continuing those events. It's good that they're coming, even though for the minimum, to do the minimum, that's fine. I would suggest, I don't know if you have done that already, maybe you've done that, but I would suggest to try and understand, to go and talk to the academic staff, the teachers. The different teachers have different tools that they use during the courses. So I would try to understand what are those tools and try to find open science equivalent, let's say, if I can say it like this, I don't know how to phrase it, and bring those tools inside the classroom, but to the teacher, so that they integrate them, and they might not be aware of tools that exist, that they don't have to pay. And I have a very recent example of that. For linear programming, they were trying to break the code or whatever, and there are so many free tools out there that they don't know, and they can do this job and even better from the one that they could pay, right? Open source tools. So I would do that, talk to the teachers, understand what they use, see if you can find equivalents, and integrate those to the classes, so that this becomes a natural thing for the students to do. They won't know exactly what they're doing, as they don't know with the other different tools that they're using, but they will do it. So it will go the direction that you want at the end. I don't know if you already just, adding that.
No, but I think I might, but to do this, I will probably need to find something like a data champions in the, let's say, in different departments, because we are, we have 9 faculties, different scientific disciplines, different tools, different traditions, different everything. Yes, that might be. Sometimes I think, especially from computer departments, sometimes they already use a lot of tools, and they didn't even know that they are sharing
Exactly.
data openly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Can I quickly say something about sharing data? So I presume people fill in a data management plan. I don't know what tool you use, whether you use DMP Online or not. So what we were planning to do in DMP Online, although it's not going to come fast, is to add a research outputs facility. So essentially add people in their plan, as part of their building a plan, they have a research outputs tab in which they describe what kind of data, if any, is going to come out of their research project. Now, that doesn't necessarily have to be shared with the funder. It has, although there is a bigger incentive, as you said, if they get the funds, they're more likely to, to share the data. But the institution gets to see what research outputs are expected from that project. And perhaps whoever is the admin and DMP Online can approach them and say, I know you didn't get the funding, but you said these were going to be the research outputs for your research projects. Have you actually had them? Where are they? How are you sharing them? So that could be a way of
That's a very good idea. Unfortunately, our researchers, they do not using DMP online because they have that formula from our Polish National Science Center. It's the format based on the Science Europe guidelines, and unfortunately it's not in the DMP online, the template. It's not there. However, we my team, we checking DMPs. One of our let's say task at Open Science Competency Center is checking the DMPs, and you give me a very good idea, because we most focus after that, we more focus on those DMPs which are succeed because we knew that we will have output from them into the repository. But maybe that's a good idea to come back to those which are not successful for the first time or for the second time, and maybe we will go and we'll check them, and maybe we will find some interesting things there as well. That'd be manual job, of course. Your solution in DMPs online, that'd be perfect. But maybe that's the point.
The only thing I would add here is that, as Ellie said earlier, this is changing a mindset, and it's not going to be from one day to another. The other thing is,
but another 10 years.
Hopefully not. Hi there.
That's my daughter.
Hi. Excitement. But the ray of sunshine here is paradoxically the EOSC, because technically EOSC is trying to promote in the next couple of years how to offer recognition of all those outputs, regardless of whether they get funding or not, which means people will have a very clear incentive of actually going through the hoops of doing that. So
yes,
definitely,
that's exactly.
So
I know that. It's the recognition is one of most important thing for our researchers still. And we realized, for example, when our data repository was started to be indexed in Web of Science, we had more data sets because our researchers, they will find they records them. Even if we are talking about not using impact factor, not using that kind of metric, still it's something like a recognition for them. And in some of the disciplines, like a chemistry, it's very good resources and very notable resources like a Web of Science. So yeah, maybe the EOSC that be the future.
I heard about all this stuff of that you described, and I really write grants right now, and I have the same problems. I really like the idea to do that, but it's very difficult if you are involved on this scientific and research stuff to do also all the other stuff. Also, we have on our institute people that we can talk about this, or if it is granted, we have a manager with us. But I think we have to push this way in order to have something like internal thing. And then if it is external, it's okay, but we have to do something about ourselves and our institute without being granted from somewhere else. To have this well-structured thing, and if it is granted, okay, but if it's not, I think we have to build something like an internal thing that have a supervision on this, the discipline, that all this stuff. It will be great because we put so much effort to write all this stuff, and after that it's gone. But if we have something like advisor of these things and go through it without be granted, it will be great for me as a scientist. If I can help, I have a help to do all the stuff of management and all these things that I write on the proposal, it will be great for me to learn new things. But we have to have this help. We can't do it alone. And I think it's a good opportunity if you are very familiar to do all these things on your university, to have this internal thing first. We have this structure, okay, you write something, let's go to this without being granted.
Okay, thank you.
That's definitely a high note. And on this high note, because I always keep an eye on the time, because I don't know what the plan is. It may sort of close at some point, or someone else in the same room, so I have no idea the plan. I would say that we definitely need a data librarian in institution. So we need to clone Ellie and put her in every institution at this point. But again, I'm hoping that this will happen, will become the norm. As we have librarians in its university, we should start having data librarians in institutions, especially the ones that are producing data consistently. All right, so I will go back sharing my screen again if I find where my screen is now. I've been moving around all the time. There we go. Screen. There it is. So we have 5 minutes left. And I will not stop the discussion. I just want to have this as the last 3 slides, which are basically, if it was not clear by now, please join the group, because we love this kind of discussions, and having fresh feedback and fresh ideas on how to move forward and better engage is definitely something useful. We have a Twitter account, and someone has already tweeted about it. I assume either Maria or Ellie or both, which is super awesome. And this is sort of the key point. We definitely need more ideas. And also because it is useful to have also new people getting involved, more actively involved in the group. If any one of you is interested in getting a more active role, that is, for example, as a co-chair, please do reach out as well to that end. It is always more fun to have more people contribute to that. In terms of the next steps, again, putting the practical things in place, I would like also to follow up with you, Magdalena, to see if we can set something up, would be around getting more practical support on filling in DMPs, whether that would be the DMP online or would be something more country specific. I don't think it's going to be an issue, because essentially it's going to be a skill necessary for everyone. So that might also be a good idea to have for next year. Would this be fine with you? Do you have any counter arguments or objections to that? All right. I see nodding no, which is good. Excellent. So we do have at least 2 AMAs for next week, which is awesome. James, the only thing I can go to search, do the first rock and come back to you. I don't think I have a clear action in my mind that we can connect this group to what you were discussing. Aside from your side having some more concrete suggestions of what we could plan to do in order to provide more concrete feedback on the subjects that you propose, because neither of these two are clear to me. Obviously, no expertise there. But if you can define some, or you can propose people that we can reach out to and say, look, this is an interesting subject and we have people who are interested to, we are usually more than happy to act as intermediaries that and reach other people on behalf of you to set up such calls. So that would be the last point. And with 3 minutes left, any last thoughts? I promise I will shut up like completely now. That's it.
No.
I think this session it will be with much less people than other times, but I think it was the most informative for me. Yeah, it was amazing. Thank you for your ideas and your feedback and all this discussion. It was great.
Yeah.
Yes, many thanks from me as well. Sorry for my daughter, a little bit
Nope.
monkey disturbing. Yes, but I think sometimes it's better to meet with a small group because we can all have opportunity to share our thoughts and ideas. And it's not always possible when you have 60 people and only 1 minute or even less for everybody. So many thanks. I'm really interested in joining your group. So I will check all the information on the website. I think Ellie, she sent some links. I will note them. So once again, many thanks.
Yeah, feel free to reach out afterwards.
Oh, definitely. Maybe you will have another ideas in a couple of months or a couple of weeks for me. I will have more experience because more
trial and error.
Exactly.
It was so nice meeting everyone.
Yes, thank you.
Right. So with 1 minute to the finish, thanks everyone. I think we can close the session. I think that the recording is going to be uploaded at some point in the next days. So you might be able to see yourselves as well and revisit the whole discussion if you feel inclined to do so. So thanks everybody. Enjoy the rest of the plenary. And I probably see you around some other ones. Bye.
Yeah, exactly.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.